I think it takes a lot to really kind of surprise fans nowadays. Like, if you're an Xbox fan, what exactly could Microsoft do that would honestly shock or surprise you? And I really think that it would take quite a bit. Now, when it comes down to it, I feel like, Microsoft has the ability to do that, but will they actually do that? I think that really becomes more the question. And, again, I do feel like Microsoft has things that they can do and things that they really need to do in order to kind of get people to jump into what they're offering fans. Let's just be honest, Xbox themselves haven't necessarily done an amazing job of kind of getting things to make people go, oh wow, I got to get an Xbox right now. But again, I think anything could happen. Specifically, I look at some of these types of announcements and things and say, hey, you know what? This could work out well for them. We'll see how this goes, but I want to get into it. What's up, everybody? Crab Gamer here with Crab Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I certainly appreciate it. You guys are definitely awesome. Please slap that like button and maybe go ahead and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. I do daily gaming content, so yeah, there is that. Microsoft is talking about Gamescom and a surprise or two or three. Xbox teases more than a few surprises for this week's Gamescom live stream. Is this going to be something, a megaton? Well, I don't really know, but we'll see. It is Gamescom week. There's a busy few days of events, kicking off with Gamescom opening night live and finishing with the final of 3 daily live streams being hosted by Xbox on Friday. Xbox has already revealed the lineup of games set to feature in each of these daily Gamescom streams, but the official description on YouTube also mentions it will be getting more than a few surprises along the way. And here's what the description says for Day 1. Day 1 is packed with exclusive gameplay walkthroughs and developer interviews around Diablo 4, Vestal of Hatred, Diablo Immortal, Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, Starfield Shattered Space, Atomfall, and Age of Mythology Retold, plus all new looks at Dragon Ball Sparking, Zero, Overwatch 2, Forza Horizon 5, Forza Motorsport, Let's Build a Dungeon, and more than a few surprises and special guests. So what could these surprises be? Well, looking back at last year, there are multiple announcements on each day, releasing things like indie releases, DLC, and Game Pass reveals, the likes of Steam World Build and Headbangers Rhythm Royale, which were both announced last year. So it's assuming, and probably pretty safe to say, it'll be a similar situation this time around. In other words, don't get too excited or don't think that, expect anything too crazy. If there's going to be any major reveals, they probably would come through Gamescom opening night. Nevertheless, it sounds like Xbox streams might be okay and worthwhile to actually go in there and watch. Obviously, people are going to kind of talk about these things and get excited about these things, or maybe jump the gun just a little bit. But for me, I think that it's all fine. I think that Microsoft has, quite a few things going for them, and, having any kind of surprises at all, I think is definitely a pretty cool thing, to say the least. Now, especially when you see that Sony once again hasn't really done anything, but yet we have quite a bit of situations where these things kind of come about, and gamers are just kind of obviously going to look at some of the leaks and stuff like that. So, again, I really do think that this is a super interesting time for Microsoft and a time for everybody. But at the same time, I feel like Microsoft could realistically change the game by doing something absolutely amazing, and if they could get that amazing thing out there, I think fans everywhere would maybe kind of speak up and kind of just go, oh, Xbox, not so bad. Listen, I don't know that fans are going to go flocking to Xbox, but I do think that you could have a situation where fans are excited by the potentiality of Xbox, and I think that is something that is pretty cool, to say the least. And listen, I'm all for people kind of spoiling a few things here or there, but I really do wish that Gamescom was like it was years ago under the Xbox One, when they did specific types of announcements and things like that. Like they saved some announcements from their like E3 type showcases, and I think that's what a lot of fans would also ask for. Like it's one thing to go all out for E3 slash not E3, but also I think when you have tons of games and tons of announcements and things, I think it's perfectly fine to go about that and split those up just a little bit, and try to get the most bang for your buck, because you've got, in my opinion, you've got to keep people excited throughout the entire year, and that's something I think where Sony kind of fails at. Microsoft could excel at it, but Microsoft is way too busy going out there and making these announcements and putting their games on everything else. Pretty soon there won't be much left to keep exclusive or worthwhile, to be honest with you. I mean, you start putting all this stuff on PlayStation, what point is there to owning an Xbox? I think that's going to be the key factor to kind of how these things kind of go about in the future, and how fans kind of react to what Microsoft is trying to sell them. Like I said, it's not even worth it, in my opinion, to sell people on an Xbox at this point if they're going to continue to put all their stuff on PlayStation. Simply put, PlayStation realistically has so much going for it, and honestly, when it comes down to it, I feel like what we're seeing now is just the absolute domination on PlayStation's part, and they don't even have to do anything. And I've mentioned this multiple times. Like, people are like, who cares? Microsoft is making so much money right now, it doesn't really matter. Well, listen, you got to have competition, right? Because you'll care when Xbox stops making Xboxes, and when PlayStation decides to start charging $800 for their box and $100 a game. I think at that point maybe some people might wake up and get off their asses and care a little bit. And again, I just feel like people don't understand the full issue behind the fact that it looks like PlayStation doesn't have any competition. Microsoft is clearly no competition for anybody, and that is unfortunate, because what, we need that competition. We need that company to kind of be there, that offers some kind of barrier there, so that PlayStation just doesn't run away with things, and that's, I think, pretty obvious what we need to see. And again, I think that it's on Microsoft, and it's also on Sony. Like, Microsoft has to figure out what they want to do. If they want to just be a third party, I think, okay, fair enough. Then just announce it. It just seems like they kind of dick over the fans or whatever, and they're just like, okay, well, you got to do what you got to do, or it's like they don't really care about the console itself, which is a real shame. But they really, in my opinion, probably should. Simply because, it's that console that many people, that's the entry point. That's like the cheapest entry point into Xbox, and the cheapest way to get into like Game Pass and things like that. I mean, I guess you could do like the streaming and stuff, but when they start selling games at $70, $100 a pop, are people really going to want to pay that price for for the ability to only stream a game and be totally reliant on a strong internet connection? I just don't see that happening. I know some people call me crazy or whatever, but when you look at it, there has been no super successful streaming service. You have OnLive, which was shut down, Gaikai, which was bought out by Sony and then turned into PS Now, which was a failure, Luna, which is a failure, Stadia, which is a failure, Xbox xCloud or whatever that is a failure. It's only been used by people who are already in the ecosystem or whatever, so obviously that's not something that is going to do very well for them. But anyway, it's just always interesting to see how people have maybe different takes on this stuff. But what do you guys think about it? Maybe let me know. Do you guys expect a lot of surprises and things like that coming in the future? I would be shocked if there was anything significant, to be quite honest. The biggest surprises might be which games are going to launch on PlayStation day one versus which are going to launch on PlayStation down the line. I think that it's a really ridiculous situation that Microsoft finds them in at this moment. So Anyway, with that being said, rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap 'em up too. Yeah, do that. And we'll catch you next time. Crap Gamer, out.